My name is Winston Yu. I represent Singapore. In Singapore, the ecosystem for safety and health start all the way from prevention all the way down to compensation. There are three agencies, basically. The MOM, Ministry of Manpower, which is a regulator, the enforcement arm, and the WHO Council, where I come from. We do a lot of training, promotion, and engagement of industry to prevent accidents. And then the third leg is the institute, WSH Institute. They come up with best solutioning for the industry. So they research into the issues, health and safety issues that is pertinent to the industry and come with solutions for them. So I'm from the WSH Council, primarily on engagement, training, and promotion. Thank you.
Thank you. We will start with the first speaker from Jordan, Mohammed Al-Tarawna. He is the Deputy Director General for Studies and Information, Social Security Corporation. And the title would be Assessment of the Workplace According to the Occupational Health and Safety Standards.
A summary of this practice, this initiative was based on our legislative reform. In Jordan, we charge 2% from the salaries of all insured people to cover them against work accidents. And now with the legislative reform, in the law number 1 for the year 2014, we can charge employers, corporations, up to 4%, depending on to what extent they implement occupational health and safety standards. That means we can punish employers by charging them more depending on their safety. What triggered this initiative is the tendency of the increase in the workplace accidents over the last 5 to 10 years or so. The main objective of the initiative to enhance the culture of occupational health and safety within the workplace environment. A summary of what we did. The initiative was included in our strategic plan. Then we had an operational plan translating our vision that was put in the first place in the strategic plan. Then we developed measures to assess the workplace environment, and we developed a special assessment template, the template to be used by the inspection teams. And the next step is the inspections and visitations and giving scores to employers and rechecking the scores or what they did to the to their workplace environment within 90 days after the first visitation. The direct impact of this initiative was measured by its effect on the number of workplace accidents. Back in 2010, we had 17,400 workplace accidents. They were decreased by nearly 11% during the last 4 years. The issues in details, the problem is the increase in workplace accidents over the last 5 to 10 years. This was also revealed by the workplace inspection reports and data analyses, and we found out that the main reason for the increases in workplace injuries was the lack of adherence to the occupational health and safety standards, especially in the hazardous industries. The objectives of the initiative: to limit workers' involvement in workplace accidents, raising the level of compliance with occupational health and safety standards, protecting the financial sustainability of the workplace injuries insurance fund, and developing new measures on how to assess the workplace environment according to health and safety standards using sectors and industries classifications. What we did, our vision was included within the strategic plan of the Social Security Corporation, the strategic plan for the years 2014 to 2016, and we had a special section in the strategic plan that focuses on the need to prevent workplace accidents through spreading awareness about the importance of occupational health and safety standards. Then we had a detailed operational plan that was put in place to elevate awareness of occupational health and safety standards. Then we have implementation plan comprising several activities. The implementation plan included several activities, including developing the occupational health safety guidelines to be implemented by our corporations, identifying occupational hazards, developing accident prevention procedures, encouraging workers' involvement and participation, developing health and safety inspection and evaluation procedures to be used by our inspection teams, providing technical training to employers and corporations, identifying emergency and dispatching procedures in case of major accidents, writing inspection reports, mandating regular employee medical checkups, good documentation of accidents and proper reporting, performing sectors analyses based on our database, and undertaking research studies. The innovative approaches and measures taken by us: developing a workplace occupational health and safety assessment template. And the template, it's like a 10 to 12 page template to be filled out by the employers themselves and then reviewed by one of our inspectors in the field. The risk-based inspections, and they are based on the frequency and seriousness of the work injuries. Inspection scores issued to the corporations, and then we request that certain measures be implemented, occupational health safety measures implemented by the corporation, and then we visit them for a second visit within 90 days to see what they have done during the 90 days period. Our aim is to increase the number of the firms that comply with the occupational health and safety guidelines and measures. And this is a direct measure. We would like to see, of course, the number of firms that comply with those standards and guidelines increased during 2014 and the first half of 2015. The workplace accidents decreased by 11% during the last 4 years, which is a significant reduction. Also, the number of worker injuries decreased by 11%. The third bullet, it represents the number of injured individuals, workers. But the second one, it's the number of accidents. So some accidents involve more than one injury. What we have learned from this initiative, the necessity to raise awareness and enhancing the culture of occupational health and safety standards. Actually, what we found out that many employers and corporations, they were extremely cooperative and they wanted us to help them out to implement health and safety standards because they didn't have technical expertise in the field. And obviously, they don't want to invest money on that issue. So if you provide it for free to them, then they would be happy to have it. The second lesson is the strengthening the partnership with all stakeholders in the field of occupational health and safety, especially the workers, worker associations, and the corporations and employers themselves. Establishing new methodologies in cooperation with employers based on real partnerships. Actually, all the occupational health and safety guidelines we developed, they were in cooperation with some of the larger employers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any, do we have time for questions? Or?
Yes, indeed, we need actually to have interaction in here. As we saw, they actually did their research and found the cause of the problems, why there is a problem, the work-related injuries, accidents. And they found the main cause is lack of what? Lack of compliance. There are many actually manuals, but no one stick to it. No one use it actually. And we find it a lot in here in every company or entity. Based on that, they have actually prepared a strategy and then program. Based on what they did, the result was there is a decrease in the accidents and work-related injury by 11%. So it goes from 17,400 to 15,400. So what they did actually got rewarded yesterday. So it was one of the recognition from ESA. Now go back to you, respected audience. Any question to Mohammed, please? No problem.
Hi, Monzer Marad from Kuwait. Questions, how, obviously this is a new system. How often do you think you're planning to update your standards? Because the standards will change with the safety improvements every time, right? My second question is, how do you deal with government agencies? Do you still apply for them the variant contribution rate? And the third one is regarding artist jobs or hazardous jobs. I think this is an excellent idea because lots of people claim hazardous jobs while there's no safety precautions. So I'm wondering if this has been considered or not.
Well, actually, the occupational health and safety. It's working. Occupational health and safety, it's the in Jordan, it's the responsibility of the Ministry of Labor. But because the Ministry of Labor, they have limited human resources to go out and make inspections to companies, factories, etc., it reflects badly on us as a social security corporation, simply because we are paying for those claims. We are insuring people against work accidents. We charge employers 2% of the salaries of employees, and we're supposed to pay all the medical expenses. In case there are disabilities, we pay for them. We pay the the pensions resulting from the death cases. So we in the reform in our law, the law number 1 for the year 2014, we included a few articles that gave us the leeway to participate in this effort, the health occupational safety, and now by the law we can go to corporations and make the necessary inspections and implement the health and safety standards. And now there are many corporations that we charge them 4% instead of 2% because they failed to implement the appropriate health and safety standards. I am not sure that I understand what do you mean by the...
Do you cover also government employees under this scheme or not?
The work accidents?
Yes.
Everybody is covered in insurance. Yes, yes, yes,
And you raise the country?
yes. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you very much, and once again, congratulations with your vote, because this is exactly what we suggest in our guidelines, that actually work injury insurances also take up activities in prevention field. No? So this was, I think, a very interesting case. My question is, how many people actually have you trained for that? So how many inspectors do you have in your organization? And on the other hand, I would like to know, could you also already see an impact in terms of the number of benefits, the benefits you're paying out, so compensation or pensions? Has there already been an impact that you can register, or will you observe this in the future? Thank you.
Yes, actually we increased our staff numbers in the Department of Occupational Health and Safety, and now we have 45 well-trained inspectors. They can work on an individual or group basis, meaning that if there is a small corporation or a small factory, one inspector can go do the job. It might take from 10 minutes to 50, 60 minutes. If it's a large corporation, a large facility, then you may want to dispatch 2 or 3 inspectors to work together at the same time. We believe our staff are now well trained, and we can, as I mentioned, we have a risk-based inspections, meaning that we look at the accident reports we receive, the claims we receive from corporations, and so we dispatch the inspections toward the high-risk corporations. In terms of the compensations, yes, and the compensations, they are also around 11%. The claims paid, yes.
So has it been a good investment?
Yes, it's an excellent investment, and actually, if we continue in the same path, I am quite confident that that the decrease will continue for a long time. Now we have like 2.5 to 3% annual decrease, and I expect that to continue in the future as long as we, as a social security corporation, continue to do the effort and not to drop. Yes, it's social insurance, man. I mean, everybody has to pay. Who is luckier? Who works for a non-risky occupation or the one who works in a risky occupation? Yes.
Other questions back? Yes, here's the lady over there.
Thank you. Thank you for your well-presented practice. Actually, I think it's creative and it's inspired me. But I wonder, you say that the contribution for work injury fluctuate between 2 to 4% according to the hazardous work. So how much it was before? And the aim of my question is by comparing how much it was and it would be next, wouldn't that influence your social security, your financial stability on the long run? Yani, because if it was less, so that's mean it will be affected, and if it was more, if it was more, it will be affected more than 4%, and if it was less, so I don't know if you can.
Yes, if you are interested in this particular subject, we can provide you with all the law articles and the regulations we wrote that detail the legal issues, actually. But before, in the previous law, we used to charge employers 2% and to give discount to up to a reduction. The 2% will become 1% if the corporation has no accidents whatsoever, no claims whatsoever for the past couple of years or so.
Let us go through the other best practice experience from Saudi Arabia, and it will be presenting by Nader Al-Wahibi.
Thank you very much. And before I start, I'd like to thank the host for their very generous hospitality, for hosting this event, and also for the last night, the Omani night. That was wonderful. Also, ISA Secretariat for bringing us together here. So we felt that there was a need to act quickly. Now, how do we act? We put some objectives. First is the safety of the worker. We felt that we had to establish a work environment that is safe for workers. That, of course, will definitely reflect on the quality of life of these workers. We wanted to plant the first seed towards what we call the standards of, or the establishment of a complete and detailed standards for work safety and health. We want to spread the culture of health and prevention. And we want to reduce the loss of productivity for employers due to occupational injuries and diseases. And of course, we want to increase labor market efficiency and reduce the cost of occupational hazards insurance. Now, what did we do for that? We had two options, basically. One option is to go to the government and ask the government to issue a very comprehensive policy and standards regarding occupational health and safety. And with that, it has also to issue or to establish a national entity responsible for this task. The other option we had is to actually act upon ourselves, make the initiative, not wait for the government to issue the legislation, because people's life are in danger. and we could not afford to wait any longer. If we waited for the government to move, it will take several years through the legislations and the creation of a government entity. So GOSI decided in 2006 that it will do what it needs to do to protect the life of the workers. So what did it do? GOSI basically started from where the others have ended. It leveraged the existing knowledge available at relevant agencies like ILO, like OSHA, and it issued not standards but a guide in 2007. This was the pre-guide, the pre-standards phase, where we issued a guide and we communicated it to employers to tell them, okay, this is what you need to do for now until we develop standards for occupational health and safety. And in 2009, the guide has been developed. Of course, we worked on it since 2007. We never stopped actually working on it. So GOSI continued working on it until 2009. We were able to issue a guide, or rather standards, but we called it basic because it still needs some more improvement. And it is the basic standards for occupational health and safety. Now, why we called it basic? Because again, we felt that there's much room for improvements, and we didn't want to wait until we issue the full, complete, comprehensive, detailed standards, which will take time. So we thought maybe we should issue something now just to stop the bleeding and then work on it to develop it. And what did we do with that? We actually held 2 international conferences to promote these basic standards. Actually, the latest one was in, I believe, 2009, 2010, and Mr. Konkolowski was actually the keynote speaker in that conference. Now, what is the impact and evaluation of the results? The absolute number of injuries has declined from 100,000 injuries in 2006 to less than 72,000 injuries in 2004. Now, if you look at the percentage has declined sharply from 4% of contributors, or covered contributors, being injured to 0.73%. This is a major success for this program. Now, of course, we can say safely that we were able to create a safe and healthy work environment. We were able to increase the productivity of laborers, and also we were able to reduce the cost of occupational hazards and also increase labor market efficiency. Now, what are the lessons learned? The most important lesson that we learned is to act, move, make the initiative. Don't wait for others to move. If we had waited, workers' life would be in danger, the scheme would not be sustainable. With that, I end my short presentation, and I would be happy to take any questions if there is any.
First and foremost, I'd like to congratulate the organizer and the host country, the Saudi Oman, as well as ISA, for a very well-organized forum and warmest hospitality. I traveled quite a bit in the course of my work, and I think I've been treated so well other than Oman. Okay, thank you very much for that. Now, we are talking about culture of prevention. Yeah, I'll move on to that later. Before we go on to that, Singapore is a very small city-state, many of you know, which is fairly industrialized. Now, we cannot afford a major catastrophic accidents. It really will impact on the residents. So we can only look at prevention. We got no choice, in other words. And somehow it works, and it seems to be in Chinese, we call it, we tackle by the dragon head. You don't catch it by the tail, we catch it by the head. That's where you get prevention, and your downstream issues will be resolved. So it works wonderful for us. But in order to inculcate the culture of prevention, 2 minimum aspects must be the precursor to it. One is the competence of the people. People, I mean every workforce, the competence. The other one is the motivation. They can do and they will do. you fear one of them, you'll be useless. That's why the precursor to all these, we have a lot of training for every level, the operative, the supervisor, the managerial, the professionals. We have 56 courses on safety and health, some post-diploma level, to ensure that enough competence in our industry. The next stage is how to motivate them to become on board. That's what BSAFE is all about. Very much like Malaysia, we have 90% plus SMEs. How to get them to come on board, to be on the same journey with us. So we think hard. Now, company will ask you, is it required by law? If it's not, forget it. The next question for a businessman asks is that, does it cost money? Does it make me money? That kind of thing. So we try to introduce safety and health into procurement, getting every buyers of services and goods to impose on the supplier, the contractor, the vendors to do safety. Today, most companies, big companies, become BSAFE partner, and they influence all their suppliers, contractors, and vendors to be on BSAFE. So the protection of BSAFE on workers is something like 70 to 80%. Okay. Now, Singapore have a very strong tripartite collaborations, as mentioned by ex-minister, the government, the employers, and the unions. We involve the professionals, the engineers, the architects, and many more, medicals, the doctors, and so on. We also involve the professionals, also the suppliers of services on safety and health, the service providers, safety and health. Now, the three key principles that the BSH framework was based on back in about 10 years ago. We revamped our Factories Act regime, which is very prescriptive. We tell people what to do and what not to do. And that's why people become compliant. They just toe the line. They won't do more. But since then, we say that let's reduce risk at source. Elimination is the best. Prevention, there is. And we want to have greater industry ownership on the BSH management as well as performance. If the industry can group together and form a grouping, association, they can actually set their own standards and then work with us. And if we agree upon certain things, we will publish it as a code of practice or a guidelines for the industry to reference on. And the third one is higher penalties for poor BSH management. There is the enforcer. Now the challenge we have since our revamp is that these are two major things. How do we get safety and health? W means workplace. Workplace safety and health to be integral part of every business. Really in every business. And how to build a strong and sustainable in-house BSH capacity and capabilities in every business organization. Now, before that, in the past, they tap on the service provider. Some consultants will come in, charge them a lot of money, and then they leave something behind, whether it's risk assessment or system, and then they leave. These guys know nothing about how to implement the system, nor the risk assessment. So there's no in-house capability. It's only buying a service, temporary. Every 3 years, they get certification, but they know nothing about implementation. It's useless. We want to build in-house capability. That means every worker is a safety officer, rather than I want one safety officer for 1,000 workers. That's not the case. So we introduced BSAFE. It's a step-by-step journey towards BSH excellence. Now, SME concern, SME, you tell them to go up too fast and too much, it's too daunting. They give up. They like a small bite-sized approach, step-by-steps. So BSAFE is a 5-step approach. And then we created the BSAFE community to generate the motivation, to generate demand. There's a BSAFE partners, buyer services, the bigger boys, to facilitate participation by the contractor vendor suppliers. We also have champions, good companies become mentors. So they provide guidance and training and share the system with them. They have open house occasionally, regularly actually. There are many mentors that any SME can tap on. And we have service provider, a small pool selected by us, go through a very rigorous regime of selection. They can provide services for companies who are on BSAFE. for training consultancy as well as audit services. And we also have a special supplement in a newspaper during that day. Pages of Be Safe winners that tell why is it good to them, how they improve productivity, how they save money, high morale of workers, less compensation, things like that. And we have a study by our institute, they do a study, 2014, and they found that the study, 9 out of 10 enterprise on Be Safe, they know what is risk assessment, as opposed to 75% of non-Be Safe companies. And 2/3, they are prepared to pay more to engage Be Safe companies than not. So there are achievements. These are all the achievements. 97% enterprises versus 83% were aware of safety and health in their workplace. And the last one. So conclusion, last slide. I think we have a very sustainable national WSH capability building for SME especially. Because SME, very hard to reach, very hard to get them on board. I think step by step is easier for them. 2, businesses, especially SME, are now enabled. We say we empower you to do things, ownership by industry. But ownership is not good enough. You've got to enable them to do what they need to do. And through this, they now have the capacity and capability to do that. In the process, they realize higher productivity and greater business opportunities. And of course, all this rely on a very strong tripartite collaboration that benefits everybody. Okay, this is our tagline last year: I can prevent all injuries and be healthy at work. And we have a shared vision. Thank you.
Okay, if you look at the Social Security Organization of Malaysia, we basically governing 2 main schemes: the Employment Injury Insurance Scheme, which I think a lot of jurisdiction, a lot of I think social security or social insurance practice, and also provide the Employment Injury Insurance Scheme. And within that system, or within that organization, or within SOCSO, we also have the Invalidity Pension Scheme, which are looking after invalidity, survivor's pension, and also some other benefits, which include rehabilitation and also some other educational loan provide for the dependents. And what I just want to share with you today, if we look at the our objective basically is to ensure and guarantee the timely and adequate provision of benefits in a socially just manner, and to promote occupational safety and health. What I think, before I move into the area of concern which I want to share with all of my colleagues here, is about the corporate objective, talking about health and safety. But I think in all organization which focus into health and safety, is just, I think it's just a statement actually, health and safety, but the focus is just about safety. And when we talk about health, it's just about occupational disease. But many of, I think even when we move, before we move into health screening, we don't really look into occupational related disease, which work can be the contributing factor, or even the lifestyle disease, which actually the factor within work which cause that. So if we look at the statistic here, actually I always like to share the statistic, because I think statistic speaks 1,000 words. You can see that within 12 years, our total number of accidents, this is industrial accident, reduced by almost 50%. And we can see that there's so much work that we do in looking. We have, the enforcement agency within the ministry to look into how we can enforce occupational safety. That is the reason why we managed to bring this accident down. But what I want to share with you, this is what the result that we get since we don't give much focus on the aspect of lifestyle disease or non-communicable disease, which it could be work-related disease, or it could be the factor within work which contribute to that, you can see that it increased by almost 90% from 2004 to 2014. You can see that this red line, all this non-communicable disease, and this is invalidity. Sorry, this is invalidity. That means those who become disabled because of non-communicable disease, and this is death. And what's surprising us when we dissect further of this statistic, every day, 40 of our workers will either become disabled or die because of non-communicable disease. It is a daily affair which happens in Malaysia with just about 30 million population. And this is something that very alarming, and we think that we need to do something. So that is where we move into looking into how we can promote health awareness among the Malaysian workers or employees. So the reason why we move into this is to promote health awareness on non-communicable disease and promote culture of healthy lifestyle. Because later when I share with you, once we have the statistic, we know the source, then it is much easier for us to move in, to look into what we need to do in terms of prevention of non-communicable disease. And we also want to look into early detection of non-communicable disease, prevent disability, and premature death. I think this is where, looking at our statistic, majority of that number I mentioned to you, that happened below age of 40 or below age of 50. If you look below age of 50, more than easily about 70%. If below than 40 is about close to about 50%. So this is, and also to enhance human capital resources and productivity to healthier workplace. So this is the program. We introduced the health screening program in 2013 for insured person with age or those eligible with age of above 40. And we started in 2013 about 1.9 million insured person were eligible to get this screening, and about 250,000 will be eligible yearly. And from the day we embark into this program, we have additional of, and another number that I just want to share, which we have a lot of result from this screening. 330 women having highly suspicious of breast or cervical malignancy. And this is some of the numbers. 73% is either overweight or obese, which out of the 73%, 43% is obese, 9% with diabetes, 27% with high blood pressure, and 62% with high cholesterol, which either they can get heart attack or they can get high blood pressure or other complications. So I always tell the employers or also the stakeholders, if you spend 200 million ringgit or 200 million rial, if you don't detect one of these earlier, you cannot buy their life. Once they go into second stage of cancer or third stage of cancer, that's it. But whatever it is our effort. I know everything is God's grace, but we need an effort to look into how we can mitigate and also can look into this prevention. So, in conclusion, no doubt that I think from the number we can see that non-communicable disease will further impact employee social security in the near future. It is very much to us. Today, the collection that we collect from contribution under invalidity is actually, on the negative. What we collect is not enough for the payment, and we have to cross-subsidize from the employment injury. So if we continue not to do prevention program, and in years to come, we will definitely need to review the contribution or the cost to the employer will be much higher. And we have no doubt that challenges in doing promotion, but we engage with the media, we have forum on the statistics that we get, we engage with the university to come up with some other findings from the maybe looking into prediction of the statistics that we have, and we have conference, we look into how we can go to the employer. We have mobile service. Even today, from the number we have about 2.2 million, but only about 500,000 came forward for the screening. So now we provide the mobile service. We go to the employer or to the premise, to the factory to do screening. We want to encourage more workers to do screening. And if you look into the practice today, I think it is almost everywhere. I'm not sure about developing country, but if you look into Asia Pacific, our focus is just about safety, or only we understand about occupational disease. But I think it is time for us to integrate the health promotion and occupational safety and health at workplace in total, especially on the non-communicable disease and on the lifestyle disease. So I think that's about all what we do, and I think it is still a lot of challenge that we need to move forward on how we can get to the employees to come forward to do screening. So with that, thank you. I mean, for the award yesterday. I hope that we can share what we have done in Malaysia, which I think is also not something that we are happy to share, but this is the reality that we need to understand and also to move forward. Thank you.